Welcome back to more Euro Fantasy content. This time, it's going to be the latest draft, and afterwards, you will see my team selection and my final squad during the deadline stream next Friday on the 14th of June from 6 PM UK time until kickoff between Scotland and the host Germany. You can tune in by subscribing to the channel and being notified on when the live stream will start, and also by smashing the like button of this video and getting this to over 200 likes to show me that you want to see more Euro Fantasy content, best players in each position, best budget players, and much more. There's a lot of things I want to cover for Euro Fantasy. I'm trying to balance it in terms of finding the time and also just creating all these graphics and making everything into practice, and I'm trying my very best to get all the content you want to see for Euro Fantasy so you can gain some entertainment and also some insight for all 24 teams in the Euros. But without further ado, let's jump straight into this one. For those that are new to the game, we start off with 100 million in budget and have to select 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders and 3 forwards. We're going to start off with the goalkeepers and work our way through the field and build the best team possible. And there are several changes from my updated draft, and unfortunately that was recorded around a week ago, and when I published it you had some injury doubts and news coming through, so a few things were already out of date. I'm hoping that's not the case here. Certain games are going on right now as we speak. For example, Hungary are 3-0 up against Israel in the first half, so things change so quickly in Euro Fantasy. It can be difficult to keep up, but by watching all my Euro Fantasy videos and live streams, you will know everything you need in terms of form, fixtures, player quality and stats. And also, of course, we have to use our own intuition and player observations. Not everything is about the numbers. We're going to try strike that balance in this channel, and we're going to start off with the goalkeepers. Some of these picks depend on your overall chip strategy, and my current plan is to use both chips in the group stages, which I also talk about in the chip strategy guide, which I released several days ago. And I'm currently going for Verbruggen as my cheap budget option in goal at just 4.5 million, facing Poland in Matchday 1. Then it's France in Matchday 2 there for the Netherlands, and that's what you'd want to avoid by using the wildcard or limitless in Matchday 2. But I'm still open to saving the wildcard for Matchday 5 and just using the limitless in either Matchday 2 or 3, so that's definitely up in the air. And Verbruggen or Lunin is probably the biggest debate in terms of picking a 4.5 million goalkeeper, and both options are also covered in the best budget options video and also the best goalkeepers as well. But for me, the best goalkeeper in the game, who isn't that expensive and who has great fixtures, playing in a team with a lot of potential, showing some great form, I mean, we're talking about Diogo Costa, who also happens to have very low ownership as well at just 9%, and I wouldn't say it's an underrated pick or anything, but everyone's going for Pickford, for example, or the likes of Maignan and Donnarumma, and Diogo Costa is being overlooked big time, and that could be because you've got the likes of Ruben Dias and Joao Cancelo in the back line. But I wouldn't mind a defensive double up for Portugal by going for this shot stopper as well. We have many 4 million defenders to choose from, and one of them is Wout Faes, who could offer you great value in terms of fixtures, clean sheet potential and ball recoveries. He has all of them. He might not have much goal threat, only 1 assist in 14 appearances for Belgium. He scored twice for Leicester in 46 games this season, but I still think Wout Faes could be the very best way of covering Belgium defensively, especially with Casteels set to start in goal over Sales. And you've also got Timothy Castagna, but that extra million you save up by going for Wout Faes could be the way to go, and that is really pivotal for spending more money in the midfield and forward line, which I've done this time round. And another budget defender I'm going for is a new option because a certain player has missed out the England squad, and that's paved the way for a new centre-back to partner John Stones. And I'm talking about Mark Gay, who did suffer a bit of an injury scare towards the very end of that match against Iceland, which England lost 1-0, and that's 1 win out of the last 5 for England, so that's very poor form and a lot of uncertainty, especially defensively. They looked very shaky on the counter-attack against Iceland, and they could have been picked apart by 2 or 3 goals more, to be quite honest with you. They were quite lucky to only concede the 1. But Mark Gay at 4.5 million has the ball recovery potential, not much goal threat. In fact, I'd argue it's even worse than Wout Faes. But what you do get here is clean sheet chances in at least 1 or 2 games in the group stages. And if Mark Gay doesn't start, you could also have Lewis Dunk at 4 million starting for England as well. But I personally think it'll be John Stones and Gay as covered in the predicted lineups video and podcast. Now, the third defender is going to be another very cheap player in the defense, and you could argue we're kind of stacked in this position with all these options at our disposal. But I'm going for Mittelstadt, who for me is the very best budget defender in the game. Let's see if he starts during the deadline stream against Scotland. If he's in that lineup, I'd highly recommend it. But in the last game for Germany, in a 2-1 win over Greece, Mittelstadt played the first half and was subbed off for David Raum in the second. And that's something we could see in the Euros tournament, or at least some rotation going on there from time to time. And maybe Mittelstadt is subbed off around 50 or 60 minutes. Not too bad of a problem if he's subbed off after 60 minutes. But of course, you want that appearance point and to lock any potential clean sheets in the process as well. There are 2 defender slots left, and I'll spend a lot of money in these remaining positions, but only in this draft. Things can certainly change by the team selection and the deadline stream, so tune in for those videos on live streams to see what my final squad looks like. But one player that has a lot of ball recovery potential, also assists and goals for a defender. He's done it time after time again for AC Milan and France, and that's Theo Hernandez, who has 2 goals and 8 assists for his country. So I think he could be a very good option, and he kicks things off with Austria, then it's the Netherlands in Matchday 2 and Poland in Matchday 3. Another template pick with over 20% ownership as well is Joao Cancelo, who's been in all of my drafts, and he is on the bench in the final friendly before the Euros begins against Croatia, but Portugal are kind of testing things out. Cancelo will be the starting fullback for Portugal there, either at right back or left back. It really doesn't matter. He's going to start there, so I have no concerns whatsoever. And I'm not saying he's definitely going to be in my final team, but there's a very good chance because he's been in all of my drafts, and I think he's the best defender in Euro Fantasy. So with this defensive line, you've got a bit of a mixture here. You've got a defensive double up in Portugal with Diogo Costa and Cancelo. You're covering the Netherlands, France, Germany, England and Belgium. You've got ball recovery potential, attacking and assist threat, and I really think you can even get an odd goal here and there through these 5 defenders and plenty of saves from the 2 goalkeepers. Another budget option, but this time in the midfield, is Jorginho, who is pivotal in helping Italy win the Euros for a record 3rd time just a couple of years ago. And going for this cheap option in the midfield allows you to go for expensive options in the midfield and attack. And one of those is the joint most expensive midfielder in the game in Kevin De Bruyne, who's facing Slovakia, and he's got a very good group overall with Romania in Matchday 2 and Ukraine in Matchday 3. De Bruyne opened the scoring in a 2-0 win for Belgium very recently, and I think he could translate his great form for Man City on the international stage here and get plenty of goals and assists in a favourable group here for Belgium, who might be overlooked this time round as their golden generation has sailed by. And another expensive midfielder that I think could really do the business here is Bruno Fernandes, who is integral for both Manchester United and Portugal. And going for both of these players at the same time is a bit of a differential in my opinion. Most people won't be able to afford it because they're going for more expensive defenders, or they might not go for a Jorginho and instead go for a balanced midfield with the likes of Wirtz and Szoboszlai. Well, speaking of which, I'm still looking at going for one of those players at 7 million, and this time it is Szoboszlai, who for me is a really good option for his country. He had a very good start for Liverpool, then tailed off a little bit, but for Hungary he's been scoring and assisting in most matches recently, and he's got a decent group. Switzerland's going to be easy, Germany won't be easy, but Szoboszlai can do it against the best of teams, and Scotland could be a fixture to target in Matchday 3 as well. So I think Szoboszlai could be one of the best midfielders in the game. I don't think he's an amazing option overall. I don't think he's guaranteed to get points, but he's got the platform and the ability to do so. So if he can generate that consistency on the international stage, continue that momentum that he's been doing from the qualifiers and the international friendlies, he's got a good chance of being one of the best midfielders in Euro 2024. And finally, one of the best midfielders in world football who plays for a team that will be certainly overlooked this time round. I'm going for a 6.5 million option here in Çalhanoğlu, who faces Georgia in Matchday 1. That is a fixture to target, and I think Çalhanoğlu with a set-piece ability, he's two-footed, he can get goals and assists. He's actually got over 30 goal contributions for Turkey in 80 appearances. This is a very balanced midfield. You've got one budget option in Jorginho, two premiums in Bruno Fernandes and De Bruyne, and two budget options and mid-price players here in Szoboszlai and Çalhanoğlu. With 29.5 million left to spend on free forwards, I'm going for Kai Havertz as my mid-priced option to facilitate two premiums in the forward positions. And Kai Havertz scored against Greece, and in fact it was the equaliser to ultimately win 2-1, with Pascal Gross scoring in the dying embers of that game. And Kai Havertz is in great form for both club and country. He didn't do particularly well in the qualifiers with no goals or assists, but in recent friendlies he's been really stepping it up. And in this calendar year for Arsenal, he has been so consistent, and in the big games, he has been appearing with big moments, scoring crucial goals and getting assists at the same time to really consolidate very good performances overall. But the two forwards I'm going for are very template, and they're pretty much clamoured for in every single draft video. If you don't have one of these players, you're going to get absolutely slaughtered in the comment section. And one of them is Kylian Mbappe, who's been in all of my drafts, but he's also very template with 77% ownership. And I know it's Mbappe, he's got a good group, but you could go against him, in my opinion. You don't have to go for him. You can, let's say, for example, if Mbappe scores a brace in Matchday 1, and you might think, oh, that's it for me. Well, you can still do really well with your 50-man squad. You don't have to go for him, absolutely. Yes, you could argue as essential. I can see why some people think that, but I don't think you have to go for him, otherwise you have no chance of doing well. That's the way I see it, but Mbappe is a great option. And the same has to be said, by the way, for another 11 million striker, the only other one we have in the game, in Harry Kane, who was blunt in the attack against Iceland. He missed a huge chance, but before that against Bosnia, he was incredible, and coming on as a substitute, he changed the game and had 5 shots in just 30 minutes, scored a goal and played very well with his overall performance. So Harry Kane is still one of the very best options in the forward position. If you're doing a ranking, he'd be in the top 2, to be honest, but you can go against Harry Kane and cover England offensively with the likes of Bellingham, Saka and Phil Foden, even a Cole Palmer if he can break into the starting 11, which I don't think will be the case. But you do have alternatives from each country, and also in these positions we are stacked with quality options like Lukaku at 9 million, the likes of Dovbyk and Havertz at 7.5 million, and also the Ronaldos and Lewandowskis of the world. There are opportunities to go different. You don't have to go absolutely template. The ones that win Euro Fantasy aren't going to have a fully template team, and some of them might not even have one of Kane or Mbappe in the final squads. But this is what I'm currently going for. I've used up all of my budget. I've got a lot of budget options in each position to facilitate the likes of Mbappe, Kane, Fernandes and De Bruyne in the same squad. Let me know what you think down the comment section below. Between the sticks, I'm going for Verbruggen because he plays earlier than Diogo Costa. The back four will be Wout Faes, Gay, Theo Hernandez and Mittelstadt. The midfield three is De Bruyne, Szoboszlai and Jorginho. And up front, a really quality forward line there with Kane, Mbappe and Havertz. And on the bench, we've got 3 Portugal players in Diogo Costa, Fernandes, Cancelo. And to wrap things off, we've got Çalhanoğlu playing on the final day as well. And that's important. I have to keep stressing this because I know some of you might be sick and, tired of hearing this time after time again in UCL Fantasy and Euros. But the amount of times I get these questions after making a lot of points about it throughout my videos and live streams is just crazy, really. So what you want to do is make sure that those playing on the first day, so Germany and Scotland players, they have to be in your starting 11. And ideally, you'd put those playing on the 18th of June on your bench, and you can bring these players on for your low scoring players once their games have finished and before those on your bench have actually started their game as well. It maximizes your chances of getting points. In UCL Fantasy and Euro Fantasy, you can make substitutions and change the captaincy for each day within a match day. And in this case, we've got games on the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th of June. So you've got 5 chances of nailing the captaincy. And at the moment, I'm going for either Mittelstadt or Havertz as my first captain on the 14th. On the following day, I would go for Szoboszlai, and the only alternative I really have is Jorginho. Then on the 16th, I'm very likely to go for Harry Kane. Now on the 17th, I've got a big decision there to make with this draft in terms of Mbappe or De Bruyne, because one of them is very template and the other one could be an explosive differential when you actually factor the captaincy as well. And on the 18th, I'd likely go for Bruno Fernandes, who's been in all of my drafts up until this point. So that is it in terms of substitutions, the captaincy, and the way Euro Fantasy works. Check out my how to play guide for more details on every single rule and the differences between Euro Fantasy with UCL Fantasy and FPL. And there is so much content already, like the chip strategy, previous draft videos, budget players, and if you want to see more like players to avoid and best players in each position, then let me know down in the comment section below and smash the like button of this video. Let's get this over 200 likes on YouTube and let's keep on pushing towards 24,000 subscribers and beyond. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links in the description below for the Patreon, Championships Discord server, the Euro Fantasy League, Draft Hound, and also Spotify. Follow me on there and leave a 5-star review on my podcast. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. I wish you all the best of luck for Matchday 1 and the rest of the tournament, and I'll see you next time.